everyone. This is GFAN webinar. Today we have the pleasure to receive Camila Zamora Osorio. Thank you, Camila, for being here today. Camila is going to present her working paper, Gender Bias in Student Evaluations of Teaching. Do the biasing campaigns work? Camila is a PhD student at the Applied Economics Department at Autonomous University of Barcelona. Okay, just 1 minute. Her research interest areas are labor economics, labor market gender gaps, labor market gender gaps, women representation in different fields, and public policies related to these subjects. She has a master's degree in labor economics, a master's degree in business administration, and a bachelor's degree in business administration and economics. Professionally, she explored a variety of different professional roles during the 9 years for her work at Católica University of Valparaíso, Chile. So, thank you again, Camila. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Lorena, for that nice presentation. I'm gonna start sharing the screen. Okay, so I'm gonna start. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining today. My name is Camila Zamora. I am PhD student at Universidad Autónoma de Barcelona in Spain, and I'm really pleased to be sharing this presentation with you today. This is a joint work with Sara Illón from Universidad de Girona, and she's one of my PhD thesis supervisors. Before to start, I would like to thank to the organizers of this webinar for the kind invitation that I received. And something that it's important for me is the opportunity of create these kind of spaces in which we can engage with current research on gender and academia, as I'm gonna show you later on. So today I'll be presenting our recent study titled Gender Bias in Student Evaluations of Teaching. Do the biasing campaigns work? Although this work is already a working paper, all your comments, suggestions, and questions, even some critiques, are more than welcome in order to improve our work. So here's an overview of today's presentation. I'll begin with an introduction to the topic and explain the motivation behind our work. Then I will review some of the existing literature that shape our research questions. After that, I'll move to the design of our experiment, describing the data that we collected and the identification strategy that we use in order to analyze the causal effect of this experiment. I will then walk you through our main results, the heterogeneous effects we observed, and finally, some potential mechanisms behind the response from students to this experiment, as I'm gonna show you in a while. So let's start with a bit of context. This graph, taken from the European Commission She Figures 2024 report, illustrates the academic pipeline in Europe for men and women. Here we have two lines because also is comparing with the previous report in 2019. As you can see, women are very well represented at the early stages of higher education. These three first stages are bachelor, master, and also PhD degree. In fact, in many countries, they even outnumber men. However, as we move further along the academic trajectory from PhD to postdoctoral positions, from here in this stage to the grade A positions, the representation of women drops significantly. So what is this figure telling us is that at top positions, or the positions with more seniority, women are still underrepresented if we compare with men. So despite progress in gender equality policies, we continue to see these sharp drop-offs in female representation as academic careers advance. This raises an important question related to what is behind this persistent gender gap in academia. One potential factor contributing to this persistency of this gender gap in academia is related to the gender bias present in students' evaluation of teaching. Because this kind of evaluation, students' evaluation of teaching, are widely used in academic decision-making process in any higher education institution. So gender bias in student evaluation of teaching, or SETs, is a well-documented phenomenon. A range of studies have shown that female lecturers tend to receive lower ratings than their male counterparts, even when their actual teaching effectiveness is equal or very, very similar. These patterns have been observed across a variety of countries, institutions, and teaching modalities. For instance, McNeil and colleagues in 2015 showed that when identical course content was delivered by instructor with male or female names, students rated the male name instructor more positively. Other studies, such as those by Boring and colleagues, found that male students in particular tend to give lower scores to female professors, and these effects are not explained by observable characteristics like teaching style, experience, or how difficult is the course. So why does this matter? This matters because student evaluations are used in decisions related to hiring, promotion, contract renewals, and even resource allocation in higher education institutions. If biased, they can lead to systematic disadvantages for women in academia. So in response to these concerns, many institutions have begun implementing interventions aimed at reducing gender bias in this kind of evaluations. These practices are mainly in two types of interventions. This includes bias awareness campaigns among students, and more recently, behavioral interventions such as self-affirmation exercise. However, the evidence so far is mixed, and the results seem to be very context dependent. So this led us to ask, can a simple, scalable intervention really reduce gender bias in student evaluations? And if so, under what conditions we can expect this reduction in the gender gap? So this paper, as a summary, first, what do we do in this paper is that we implement a debiasing campaign in a Spanish university to reduce gender bias in student evaluation of teaching, running a field experiment based on 2 video treatments. The first video that we call implicit bias video introduces the idea of implicit bias in a very general terms. And the second treatment, the second video, is the gender bias one that explicitly presents evidence of gender bias in sets and more directly address this issue from male students. What do we find? Students treated by the first treatment, implicit bias video, gave lower scores to male instructor, narrowing the gender gap in evaluations. But students treated by the second treatment showed an unintended behavior, which is known as a backlash effect, in which male students penalize female lecturers, more particular in female-dominated fields, after they watch this direct video telling them that they are like more responsible for this negative evaluation. In terms of the novelty of our work, we cover all students in the university, considering a very large sample and all the fields of knowledge. This is something different to what we see in the literature, because some previous studies implemented this kind of experiments on social sciences universities, or maybe one campus of the university. So we cover the whole population of a university. And also we implement a video-based anti-bias awareness raising campaign, exploiting its potential effectiveness on the target group, which are young students. Because what we see in the literature is that these interventions always have been a text-based intervention, and we try to implement something more close to this targeted group using audiovisual strategies. So we build on 3 main strengths of the literature. First, there is a substantial evidence that gender gaps in labor markets outcomes can result from subjective evaluations in professional settings. The second strand of the literature that we are following, we draw on studies that stress the importance of stereotypes and implicit bias in shaping discriminatory behaviors at the workplace, or in this case at the university. And third, and most directly related to our contributions, we engage with literature assessing the effectiveness of interventions aimed at reducing discrimination or promoting diversity in organizations. So let's now move to the experimental design that I think is the most interesting part of this presentation. I'm going to show you the institutional setting, the design, and the implementation of this experiment. So first of all, we implemented this intervention at the University of Girona, which is a university close to Barcelona, but it's one of the public Catalonian universities. Is very, very Catalan. And I take advantage of this presentation to say that the original language of the videos was Catalan, but we translated to English for the presentation. This university is a medium-sized public university in Catalonia with approximately 14,000 students across all fields of knowledge. And they have constructed actually a strong institutional support, enable campus-wide implementation, some of the novelties that I just mentioned. In terms of the student evaluation of teaching, this is an online evaluation that students can respond via Moodle. This questionnaire is open around 3 weeks before final exams. For the case of our experiment, this questionnaire was open on April 29th, and it was closed to July 3rd in 2024. There is institutional support and promotion to invite students to participate in the process of evaluate their professors, with banners and emails, making students aware that it's important the participation in this kind of process. The questionnaire is standardized across all faculties. The response is anonymous. The response is not mandatory. And student evaluation in this university are used as a formal input in academic staff assessment, including contract renewals and tenure track promotions. So now I'm going to show you the two treatments, just with the text that we included in the videos, in order to explain with more detail the difference between these two kinds of treatments, the implicit bias one with the gender bias video. So treatment one, the implicit bias video, was a short video. It was framed in very neutral, general terms, encouraging students to reflect and evaluate based on actual teaching quality. And if you see, especially this third paragraph, it says that in this regard, it's important to avoid implicit bias, which shows prejudice, normally negative, towards a given group. Never we mention gender or something like that. Bias of which we are not conscious and which often arises involuntarily. So just this video just mentioned the idea of that all we have implicit bias in our mind. Then in our treatment 2, the gender bias video was a video that directly addressed gender bias, something that you can see along the video, but especially in this third paragraph, in which we see that it says the academic literature has shown that on average, female professors receive lower scores for their teaching compared to male professors, even when the quality of their teaching is the same. Additionally, it has been documented that such biased behavior often arises from male students and not so much from female students. So here the message is quite more direct than in the previous treatment. Here in figure 1, I'm just want to show you a frame from the video treatment in order to make you realize that we use very neutral icons. We use the institutional colors, the official logo from the university, because it was important for us that this.
Camila, maybe I ask a question?
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I arrived just a few minutes late. I'm sorry for that. But regarding the implicit gender bias statement that you showed, when you say like it's in the third, in the first, in the treatment 1, please. Yeah, like in this regard, it's important to avoid implicit bias. Like it's a statement that you're making to the treatment, to the treated like the implicit bias explicit. Do you know what I mean? Or
Yeah, because the campaign is actually that, in terms that making a student aware that they have implicit bias when they are evaluating their professors, or when they are evaluating to anybody. So yeah, it's that the purpose of the paragraph.
It's the purpose for that. It's to
Yeah.
make explicit.
To make students aware, because
Okay.
in general we say, for instance, we work in gender things, right? So we, in general terms, we say we don't have prejudice against women, but we already have, because they are implicit in our mind. So the first video is just take this and make students aware that they have this, and then they answer the questionnaire with this in mind.
Okay.
So in terms of the implementation, we randomize all the University of Girona students into 3 groups at individual level, stratified by gender, in order to get a balanced groups. So 1/3 received the message linked to video 1, the 1/3 received the message linked to video 2, and 1/3 received no message, and it is our control group. So treated students received an email before they started to respond the questionnaire from the Vice Rector for Quality and Transparency on April 29th, very early in the morning, before the students realized the questionnaire was already open. And for us, this is day 1 in our experiment. We also sent a reminder on May 15th, and for us, this is day 17 in our timeline of the experiment. Here in the email, the Vice Rector just invite students to respond the questionnaire and watch the video. So the content of those emails was very, very simple and was the same for all the treated students, but the thing that was changing was the link to treatment video 1 or treatment video 2. Videos were placed at the UDG YouTube institutional channel with no option to comment, download, or share. So in terms of the number of responses by treatment, here we have in figure 2 the responses from treatment 1, 2, and the control group, and also the number of total responses. What we see in these solid red lines is the day 1 of the experiment, so it is April 29, and this second solid red line is the day of the reminder. What we see is that most questionnaires were filled in the first 3 weeks, even before the reminder, because in the second week particularly, students responded the questionnaire. And also something to know is that treated students were slightly more likely to respond than the students in the control group, but it's a very slight difference in the number of responses. Here in figure 3, we have the number of visualizations, the number of views and responses from treated students. And what we see is that the videos were watched 1,238 times, which corresponds to around 13% of treated students. For us, this is a low rate, but when we went to the literature again, it is very common to not obtain high visualization rates. and 40% of treated students that answered the questionnaire. So here in figure 4, I have like the summary of our experiment in this scheme. So we have these 3 groups, treatment 1, treatment 2, and the control group. As you can see, we have a very similar number of students participating in the implicit bias video, the explicit gender bias video, and in the control group. The implicit bias video were watched by around 600 students, and the treatment video 2 was watched by 634 students, a little bit more than treatment group 1. And here we have the result, right? So with the treatment 1, the gender gap was narrowed, and with treatment 2, we found a backlash effect from male students to their female instructors. And
sorry, just a quick question. I don't know if you said before, but the female students, do you observe implicit bias from them to the female teachers?
Sorry, could you repeat me, because I didn't hear you well.
Do you observe implicit bias from female students to female lecturers?
Female to female?
Yes.
In which treatment?
In many of them, in the control group or in the treatment?
Not actually. I think I'm gonna be more clear of that in the results part, but I think I didn't observe that.
Okay.
Female against female.
Okay.
At least.
So the problem is male students to female professors.
Exactly. Male students to female, male treated students to female professors.
Okay, but and in the control group, the implicit bias is different between female and male students?
The control group is the baseline gap we observe. In the control group, there is a bias.
Okay, but from the male students or female students?
I couldn't say that is from female. I think in general it's from male.
Okay.
But I think it's something that maybe I have to check. But just
okay.
in my memory.
Okay. Thank you.
So we collected this data about students' characteristics, the instructor characteristics, and what we have in panel A, student characteristics, the mean age of participants answering the questionnaire is 22 years old. Female students participate a bit more than male. Here we have a distribution of responses in the fields of knowledge. So what we see is that sciences, life sciences, social sciences, architecture, and engineering are very similar in the number of responses that they give to the questionnaire. And also we have that participants from first, second, and third year are a majority participating answering the questionnaire, because students in their 4 and 5 year are very, very low. The mean student grade that participates in the questionnaire is 7.2, around 2. And in terms of instructor characteristics, what we have is that the mean age is 48 years old. Female are almost a half of the professors evaluated. And here it is something important in terms of the contract or the relationship that the professors have with the university. And what we see is that more than a half of the evaluated professors had or were adjunct or pre-PhD faculty professors. So they are in the very first steps of the academic career progression. And permanent contract professors, so those professors with more seniority are around 40%. The average score that professors receive is around 4, which is not bad. And here we have the distribution of the scores that students give to professors, and we see that in general they evaluate their professors between 4 and 5. So 1, 2, or 3 in this scale, in which the 5 is the maximum score. We don't have many students evaluating in that way to those professors. In terms of the identification strategy, we use a linear regression model with fixed effects to evaluate the intervention and quantify the causal impact of the two treatments. We actually we are accounting for the intention to treat more than the direct causal impact on students' response. So in our dependent variable is the overall evaluation received by Professor J from student I in subject S. This overall evaluation corresponds to question 7 in the questionnaire. The questionnaire has 8 questions. The first 4 were to evaluate the subject, and the last 4 to evaluate the professor itself. Question 4 and question 5 are open questions for any comment that the students have. So the overall satisfaction with the professor is question number 7. Beta 1 and beta 2 are the causal effects of the 2 videos and are the coefficients in which we are interested. And here we have a vector of students' characteristics, professor fixed effects, and subject fixed effects. So now let's move on to the main results. First, I'm gonna show you these main results by treatment, and then with the sample as a whole. So what we see is that male instructors receive more negatively evaluation from male and female students after they were treated, reducing, narrowing the gap between male and female professors. And what we see with treatment 1, treatment 2, is this backlash effect that I've mentioned, in terms that male treated students with this gender bias video were more strict. They penalize more to female lecturers. So I'm gonna explain a bit more the mechanisms that we think are behind this backlash effect. When we compare the results, the effect of the intervention in the sample as a whole, so the intervention appears to have reduced gender bias without triggering a meaningful backlash effect for female lecturers as a group. So now we were wondering from where these results, these effects are coming from. So, and what is different in the response from students. So for treatment 1, what we see is that we ran some heterogeneous analysis by professor age, professor status, student performance, and student seniority. And what we see is that male students give lower scores to older male professors. Older male professors are professors in their 50s or more. We see strongest reductions in ratings for male associate professors, especially from male students. And male professors receive lower score from students that passed the course. And these students are not the top or the excellent students. They are just passed in a scale from 0 to 10. They obtain a 5 or 6 grade in the final grades. And first year male students reduce scores to male professors. And when we look at this heterogeneous analysis for treatment 2, students treated by the gender bias video, what we see is that male students are against mid-age female professors. So female professors around 35 to 49 years old. The negative effect concentrated on adjunct, pre-PhD female professors rated by male students again, and this is consistent with the mid-age female professors that I just mentioned. Higher performing male students rated female professors more negatively, so top students, excellent students, were much much more strict with their professors. And backlash increases with seniority. So what we see is that second, fourth, and fifth year students, male students penalize female professors more than students in their first or in their third grade in stage of the career. So some mechanisms that we try to figure out to explain the behavior of the students. So first we think on context differences, and this context is related to faculty or field of knowledge. And what we see is that treatment 1, which is the one that narrows the gender gap, the effects are coming from students in life sciences, students in medicine, social sciences, students in economics, education, and psychology. And when we look at treatment 2, the backlash effect, we see that students in education and psychology and nursing are leading this response, this negative response to the rate for the female professors. So male students react negatively in female-dominated contexts because education and psychology and nursing are widely defined as female-dominated contexts, and this backlash is mostly coming from male students in these faculties. And no observable treatment effect on a student in professional schools. Professional schools are a very special group of schools within the University of Girona, but they are not too much students. And also we looked at the teaching methods and support activities, which were questions 5 and 6 in this questionnaire, just before question 7, which is the overall satisfaction. And what we see is that the result is very consistent with what we find with question 7, or the overall satisfaction. So what can we learn from this experiment? First, we can learn that an intervention that informs students about the existence of implicit biases and helps them to recognize this, the presence of this implicit bias is sufficient to reduce gender bias in teaching evaluation. This is a finding different to what we see in the literature, because in general, this more simple, more general treatment was ineffective, reducing the gender gap between male and female professors, but in our case, is the opposite. So treatment 1, which is the simple message, significantly narrowed the female-male lecture gap without triggering backlash effect that I showed you in the main results. Second, some students are highly sensitive to the type of message that they receive. This is especially true for those in the minority in faculties where women are in the majority. So male students that are minority in fields of knowledge where women are majority, they seem to feel treated, right? Like there is something that they have to face or they have to take care of. So treatment 2 caused male students in female-dominated faculties to rate female lecturers more negatively. Something that for sure we have learned, that future interventions should aim to find better ways to reach 100% of the student population and improve the survey response rate. And finally, much more research is needed to provide better results, in terms that the results that we obtain seem to depend strongly on the context on this type of intervention to understand the complexity of the results in this study. So much more research is needed to give to the literature a more clear contribution in terms that the message and the design of the experiment proper to this specific group. So thank you very much for your attention, for your questions. So I'm open to discuss and get all the comments and questions and critics from you now. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Camila. Very interesting work. Very nice. I like it very much. Maybe you have here an evidence that sometimes it's better to, if you want to treat something against, to reduce the gender, the implicit bias, maybe some general context is better than a more specific one. Well, it's what you have here. It's your result, so it's interesting. I think it's very interesting.
Thank you. Actually, to be super honest, we didn't expect the result of treatment 2. We were happy when we found that this effect didn't influence the general rate of the women, because it was a very unexpected result. But what we see in the literature is this very common to obtain this kind of result. The backlash effect is something that maybe in politics or something like that, in voting, is very common, but for us we never saw something similar in the literature that we were follow.
But you show that as the students, they are older, like they are in the late grades, the backlash was was worse. And you know that paper from Pazerman and Valentina Paredes, the what's the name, Anna? Ai, meu Deus.
Really?
I
Only for economics,
Only
yes.
for economics, but it's about discrimination
Yeah,
and
no,
and
exactly.
I forgot the name now. I'm going to check the name.
Do students get more sexist? Something like
yes.
It's a question, but it's about sexism
Sexism in economics.
Yes.
And it's interesting because we have the bias between the professor, but also between students. So
in
maybe
undergrad,
in undergrad.
So male students were biased against their female counterparts?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But you maybe you should no. I remember I read the paper, but it's a long time, so I think maybe you should have a look at that.
Soraya, I think Soraya.
Yes. Does economics make you sexist?
Yes,
it's only in economics.
I know the paper. Yeah.
So, but it maybe, but also it's an interesting to reflect about your results or something.
Yeah. Actually, we wanted to implement kind of a questionnaire after the experiment, trying to figure out which mechanisms were behind, because we thought that depending on the level of sexism within the students, the response is different. So it's not just matter of if it is female or male dominated fields. It is also about the beliefs that they are coming from, I don't know, when they were kids. So I think it could be super interesting to see this paper again with this view of sexism and the impact on this kind of behaviors.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know, just thinking about the what you find, and that the backlash increases for male students that are at the latest stages, in their formation. Maybe there's some role played by the female lecturers, like maybe it depends on who is sending the message. Thinking about role models, and so maybe male professors implicitly have a bias, and that affects female professors' behavior also. So maybe if you had a second chance, maybe you can try and add, in the questionnaire, a message or a directed by, that is sent to the students from a male professor, for example, or actually even better, a male professor within their field of study. So then you can see if the sexism you're finding is coming from them.
Yeah. Thank you, Soraya.
More comments or questions? Okay.
And
so
just one more.
Okay. Okay.
Lately I was reading about leadership experiments, female leadership experiments, and they seem to be closely related with gender stereotypes. So maybe that's something you should explore. So they, for example, interact a specific task directed to a specific task that is thought as being more related to female tasks. And then they compare what happens when you make people do that task that is a team task with different groups of people, only males, only females, and randomly assigned mixed groups. And they find that when there is a mixed group, the gender stereotypes penalize female leaders particularly. So maybe that's also something you can explore.
Yes, but that would be like another experiment, I think. But yeah, it is a good idea. Maybe I can check that kind of literature, I think, and check if it's something that could explain our results also, because I think we didn't explore this leadership, female leadership experiments literature so much. So I think it's something that it could help us. Thanks, Soraya.
One question. In these courses that you observe the backlash, the proportion of female professors are higher than male professors. Okay, but
Yes.
maybe it's something that Soraya already said, but the classes, they are more gender balanced. Do you know that? Do you have that information?
Yeah, because we did this this analysis for all the faculties and for all the degrees. So we have some degrees in which is more balanced. Like economics, for instance, is more balanced than education or nursing, right? So what we say is I think this. So for instance, in treatment 1, we see that the effect is coming from, especially from economics, education, and psychology, but it's very clear that the treatment 2, the effect is coming from these female-dominated fields.
So men are a minority. They are minority.
Yes,
in the,
exactly.
okay.
Because in engineering we don't find this effect. So we ran this analysis for the 9 faculties, and I don't remember the exact number of careers, degrees, but we did it, and we noted that in this specific faculties, education, psychology, and nursing, and careers, the backlash effect is great and is present actually.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? No. Thank you, Camila, again, for being here. I think it's super interesting, your paper, and I hope to see you more often here at your phone webinar, or whenever you want to, if you want to present another work, please just send us an email. But thank you.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you all for this invitation. For me, it is really a really good opportunity to present this work, and actually my 3rd and last chapter, I hope to implement it in Brazil. So it is a very good approach to the Brazilian culture. So Thank you. Thank you very much, Lorena, for this opportunity. And if you have more comments or questions that maybe you didn't do here, just send me an email and we can discuss it.
Okay, when do you intend to come to Brazil to run your
Actually,
experiment?
I was there last
Ah,
June
okay.
in Brasilia, attending to a winter school in IPEA.
Brasilia.
Okay.
Yes,
I was
I'm
there.
I'm from Italy, but my branch it's in Rio. So, but I knew about this winter courses was really
Yeah, it was
fun.
organized by University of Chicago and the London School of Economics and IPEA.
Yes,
It
yes.
was really interesting, so I was in.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, it was super, super interesting. I met once with Francisco Ferreira. I think you
Yes.
know him.
Yeah.
He's in LC, if I'm not wrong. But the idea of my third chapter is before that winter school, so I hope to go to Brazil again soon. It is
We
a
also.
I really like it, and yeah, I have to work with Brazilian data, and I think it would be very, very nice to meet you when I'll be there.
For sure. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Great
you.
work.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.